Before June is over, you and I and the world will see a new currency. Some say it'll be called a USTN, a new U.S. Treasury note, to take the place of the anyhow. My prediction is that before May and June are over, there will be a change in the circulating currency. We invaded Iraq. We have spent $1 to $3 trillion over there. Still spending. We didn't have $1 to $3 trillion. But what we did was announce to the Iraqis that you've got oil in the ground and you're going to pay us back. You listening? You're going to pay us back for setting you free. And so it was discussed in the highest levels of the United Nations and the powers that be. It was discussed that we will allow the United States of America to print new Iraqi currency. It was decided that the United States would print the new Iraqi currency. The U.S. Treasury would print the currency of another nation. And we will allow you to print X number of trillion dinar. Trillion. Trillion. Well, the French became furious and said, no, you invaded, but you're not the only one who's going to print dinar. Saddam owes us billions of dollars that he didn't pay because you blew him up. So we're going to print dinar too. And the world powers that be said, okay, we'll allow you to print 2 billion. They were still going at 20 plus billion. Trillion, pardon me. Okay, so they're printing money. How does that help us out? Well, we're going to back the Iraqi currency with oil, proven oil reserves in the ground. So theirs will be asset-backed currency, okay? So they've got something really behind theirs. And by the way, while we have been in the process of warring in Iraq, gold in the ground was discovered. Enough gold to back up. So the Iraqi currency is not only backed by oil, but it's going to be backed by precious metals and other discoveries. So let me get you to a point so you understand how this game is played, and it's a game. Their currency, which has been worth nothing for 10 years because we invaded and tore the place up, their currency is going to become one of the most solid asset-backed currencies in the world. Well, what good does that do us? Well, because we're going to get several $1 trillion out of them. Well, how are we going to do that? We're going to take some of the trillions of dollars, dinars, pardon me, that we printed for them, and we're just going to put them in our banks. And their asset-backed currency means our currency is asset-backed. It's a game. It's a shell game. So the Chinese 6 to 8 weeks ago announced to the world, our yuan, renminbi, is gold-backed. And what they were doing were they were pushing everybody else to announce their asset-backed. We have not been able to say we are asset-backed yet until the guy with golden hair came into the presidency. I don't want to elaborate on this, but I expect, at the personal level, I expect, based upon what I am reading and hearing and surmising, I expect that we will have an announcement that U.S. currency is now asset-backed. And you should, as a student of prophecy, you should recognize that is a transition. That Ellen White had it right. She said, it is not of the divine. Well, putting something behind our money, it's something, all right. It's ours, but only by decree, by declaration. That's what we did with our money for 70 plus years. When all are looking forward to many years of worldly prosperity, that's the one in the New Testament. When they shall say peace and what? Prosperity.
Is that what happens now?
Yeah, that's where we're going. But it doesn't happen until January 20 of 2018. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm just asking you to consider, when you get home, you just consider, you just say, well, we'll find out if his good guesses are any good or not. By July and August, possible terrorist-related fires set intentionally in the west and northwest. Ellen White puts it this way: fire, flood, and earthquake with war and bloodshed. God is warning the inhabitants of the earth of his near approach. When she says fires, she's not talking about ordinary fire season in the west. We're talking about fire, flood, and earthquake with war and bloodshed. We're getting there. We are standing on the threshold of the crisis of the ages. In quick succession, judgments will follow, fire and flood. We'll finish out the statement by and by. Watch for increasing anarchy and rioting in many U.S. cities, an omen of things to come. Now I want to say this. For 12 to 20 years, I had the privilege of speaking repeatedly to thousands of people on the West Coast, all the way from the Mexican border right on up into Canada and Alaska. Thousands of people. I said to the folk living in Southern California, if you're not acquainted with that part of the country, it's desert. Los Angeles is desert. Oh no, they've got plenty of water. No, they don't. The water for Southern California comes from 3 states away in the Colorado River. We're using up all the water that once upon a time left some over to go into Mexico. So I said to the folk in Southern California, you folk are a disaster waiting to happen. Whether it's a terrorist incident and they cut the aqueducts and run the water off, you are dependent on water from 3 states away. There's none coming from that way. This is very likely to be cut off, whether it's a terrorist incident or an earthquake. You can't go west because that's the Pacific Ocean. So I went up a little further north in California and I said, you guys are an accident, a disaster waiting to happen. Because all those folk down there are dependent on water. And you've got some. They're going to need food, and you're the food capital of the 48 contiguous states. You are a disaster waiting to happen. We'll enlarge on that in a bit. Ere long, that's a strange word, ere long, there will be such strife and confusion in the cities that those who wish to leave them will not be able. We must be preparing for these issues. This is the light given me. This is one of dozens, scores of statements which we've shared with you through the years. I just want to say that July and August and the new currency could spell the rise of the New World Order, because that new currency is a command and demand of the New World Order. So I put a big question mark. Is this the rise or birth of the New World Order? I believe it is. I believe that the new currency is an announcement to you and me and the world that it's time for the new government. You see, President Trump said, we're going to back out of this Paris Agreement. What is this climate thing all about? I'm not saying that there's no problem coming with the climate. I'm saying, what can human beings do about changing the climate of the world? Okay?
It's redistribution of wealth.
Now you got it. The whole thing is, let's create a crisis so great that we have to have a world government and we have to tax everybody on the planet. That's what this whole thing is about.
It's also about the Sunday law.
And Trump said, nah, we ain't going to do it no more. Well, what is it he's saying no to? He's not saying we're not going to sign on the agreement. We're not going to sign on the present agreement, because we ain't agreeing. Well, what is it that we ain't agreeing to? Come on. So the Chinese, who are one of the greatest polluters on the planet, what are they going to pay in the next 10 to 20 years? Nothing. What about India? What about Brazil? What about all these other countries? So we have decided, you got money, you pay. You American, you pay. And so we're supposedly signed on by the previous president for 25 billion plus. That may just be starters. Okay? It's a global tax arrangement. And we're paying the bill. So there's a new sheriff in the land. In August and September, I believe we're going to see the stock markets and the economy soaring for the moon. I believe there is going to be euphoria in the land. Not just our land, but Europe. Everybody's going to come alive. Why? Because the global economy is being infused with trillions of dollars. Trillions. No, the word out today is quadrillions. You can't even count how many zeros you're talking about. Now, when we move to the fall of any year, prophetically, we need to wake up. Take note. When we move into the fall of the year on planet Earth, prophecy watchers better be watching. I believe we're going to see all kinds of good and all kinds of bad mixed together. That's just my take on it. August and September, natural disasters multiply, especially in the United States. I believe the United States is about to become the target of natural disasters, man-made disasters, all kinds of disasters. There will be heated rumors of war with North Korea. People call me every day, literally call me every day. Well, it looks like we're going to war with North Korea. I said, go back and read the verse. Rumors, rioting is going to increase in many U.S. cities. Summertime always brings out madness, badness. When October and November come, keep your eyes focused on Basra. Oh, now we're getting serious. Tell me about Basra. Basra is the second capital of Iraq. Basra is the second ancient capital of Iraq. Basra is the focal point of Daniel's visions in chapter 8. I was at Susa, at Shushan, in the palace. And in my night visions I saw, and was standing beside the river Ulai. And I saw, and I saw, and I saw. And what is described is what is going to begin taking place here, I believe in October, November, early December. The focus of the Ulai vision, Daniel chapter 8, the focus of the Ulai vision is just north of Basra. So there's going to be war sometime between here and here. War. Iran is going to make a move to come in and back up the government of Iraq, announce to the world that we are one. And there's a character. I think I got his name spelled for you here. Watch and listen for the Iraqi Shia hothead, Muqtada AlSadr. I'm not going to go into all the history here, but this is the guy in Iraq who wants to join hands, link the two countries with Iraq and Iran. And he has his own militia, and he hates the United States with a passion. So keep your eyes and ears open. Watch for this guy to begin appearing in the news. He's got a demonic stare about him. Watch for Iranian military invasion and intervention in Iraq crossing the Hiddekel. I really ought to do that with you on the board for a moment. This is the Euphrates River. This is the Tigris River. These are the great rivers of Shinar and so forth. They merge their waters into one great river going into the Persian Gulf down here. They merge their waters into what historically can be called the Hiddekel. Tigris, Euphrates, Hiddekel. Except some historians say no, the Tigris is always the Hiddekel. It doesn't matter. There are fascinating, absolutely fascinating statements from the pen of Ellen White about the visions given to Daniel and the Hiddekel. I don't have good feelings when I think about how Adventists of all the people who need to be plumbing the depths of these prophecies and sharing them with the world, they can't even share them with one another. Now here's the Ulai. The modern name is the Karun River. It's not a great river, but it pours its waters into the Hiddekel right here, and Basra is here. Gabriel is said in Daniel chapter 8 to be standing here in Daniel's vision. He's over here at Shushan in the palace. But then the truth comes out that Gabriel is standing down here. Same river, but at the end of the river, at the widening of the Ulai. This is where Gabriel makes the pronouncement, "Understand, O Son of Man, this vision is at the time of the end." I mean, there is prophetic evidence. This vision is at the time of the end. That's what the 2 dreams and 2 visions are all about, the time of the end. In December, it could happen in November, but I think it's more likely to take place in December. Possible war with Iran and Iraq. And of course, we're not going to just go It says we throw him to the ground and stamp on him. And Russia and China don't intervene. There was no one to help him, and they're both allies of Iran. Throw him to the ground and stamp on him. While this war comes, there's a global financial crisis as the US dollar is broken or threatened with total devaluation, which, by the way, Ellen White talks about appreciation and depreciation. Global financial crisis possible in December. We've got 20 days in January to get to the red line. And so Daniel 8 says, and when he was strong, that's the goat from the west, when he was strong, the notable horn was shattered. And that is the word in the original, shattered. There should be mega earthquakes according to Jesus, and according to what's going on here, there should be mega earthquakes, and the United States is going to be broken. Now, for years, I have believed, and this is my guesswork, for years, I have chosen to believe that just collapsing the US dollar is not enough to break the United States of America, to break the back, to break the heart, to break the spirit, to break I mean, we've had depressions before, and no. What we need to know is you know that's Florida, you know it is. I want to be sure you get the point. I'm watching the clock. Don't you watch it, I'm watching it. Down here in California, right on the Mexican border, right here, there's a place known as the Salton Sea, S-A-L-T-O-N, the Salton Sea. And it's man's stupidity and engineering that has created this destruction. But anyhow, there's the Salton Sea. The Salton Sea is there because there's a tremendous earthquake fault line that joins other major fault lines right here, just over the line into the U.S. For the last 18 to 24 months, there have been flurries of quakes in the Salton Sea. Now, to have these mini quakes and flurries of them all coming together, for years it was decided that that's good because that's letting the pressure off of the big faults. And long as no, it has since been discovered that these are not releasing pressure, they are putting pressure, placing pressure, building pressure on the major faults. Now the fault here is the San Andreas. It is the major fault in California and along the west coast until we get just up here, just north of San Francisco, and I have been there, me, myself, and I. William Record, on one of the cameras there, knows all about the place where this great fault running through San Francisco Bay, just north of San Francisco, parts company with the land and goes out into the Pacific. Breaks itself into two evil heads. These pressure points are being observed by satellite, by ground-based. They can put a laser in and put a reflector over here, and they can tell if the ground moves a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of an inch. And when they see a shake down here, way down here on the Mexican border, and within a few hours they see the tremors coming up this fault line, they say, "Ooh, this is not looking good." So there are headlines, and I have some of them for you, which we'll give you before you go. We have headlines warning all of the inhabitants of the west and northwest to beware that the evidence is building that the big one could come at any moment, at any time. If you read what it says, cut the tree down, break off its branches, scatter the leaves, and shake off his fruit. This quake, this fault line, runs right through the heart of the Central Valley, where fruit is grown, and nuts, all right? If you shake 8.9, 9.9, you can't even begin to imagine what an 8.2 quake looks like, feels like, and the damage that it's doing. These major faults, including the Hayward, including now over to, what's the Yellowstone cauldron? It's heating. It's heaving. All of these are connected. All of them are signaling unwanted things. All of them. So Ellen White sums this up, agreeing with Jesus' words. There will be famine, there will be war, there will be rumors, there will be great earthquakes. I believe that's where we're broken. There's the breaking of the power. The country is going to be split down the West Coast. And you're going to, if the United States was bankrupt and had financial problems, it's all over. If you read what it says in the book, we are going to be broken, we're going to be shattered, our eagle wings are gone. Our lion's heart is gone. The bear is going to rise, do his stuff. The leopard is going to rise and fly his kite. You and I are coming to the kingdom for such a time as this. You have friends, you may have family out here. We have thousands multiplied friends out there. And I have this empty feeling in the base of my stomach, the pit of my stomach, that these folk are sitting ducks. And who am I to say, where do you run? Where do you go? Ellen White makes the statement time after time, we should be preparing for these issues. So this is how I want to try and put this together if I can. The Los Angeles Times, that's the banner. June the 14th. What's the date today? Los Angeles Times, June the 14th. Signs of past California mega quakes show danger of the big one on the San Andreas Fault. I'm just going to read just a few lines right here. This is pages and pages. You can go online, look it up, and really see they have these images in color and moving and showing you how the pressure is moving along the faults and who gets it first. For example, if you're in the Loma Linda area, okay? The quake's going to start down in the Salton Sea at the base. That's the place that the quake's going to start. By the time it moves up, and it takes several minutes to get up,